But I just want to draw your attention to what you're seeing. There you go, on this side of your screen. Live visuals, we're beaming to you from Johannesburg. President Cyril Ramaphosa teeing off with Cosatu as part of a fundraising event. We've been watching that very closely for you. It's part of course, as I mentioned, this fundraising event that the president is part of with Cosatu as an alliance partner. We've seen in many instances unions and federations really struggling to keep afloat because of their perceived dwindling influence in the labor market. I imagine it's against that backdrop that this particular event is also taking place, and we'll certainly get you a sense of what is likely to happen given just how full the president's diary is, because later on he's expected in Bloemfontein, where he'll be part of a gender-based violence not in my name campaign, where of course the president, I imagine, will lend his voice to this 16 days of activism of no violence against women and children. So just wanted to give you that quick context as we continue watching the president tee off there, and we'll certainly keep up with him throughout the course of the day. The Johannesburg Country Club, that's where President Cyril Ramaphosa has been teeing off as part of Cosatu's fundraising campaign. Seems there's a bit of a question and answer session. Let's listen in.
President, just the essence, Cosatu is celebrating its 40th anniversary. You're teeing off with the President of the Republic and President of the ANC today. Just the significance of the 40th anniversary of the People's Federation.
Well, thank you firstly for being here with us to really be part of this celebration. We are celebrating 40 years of our federation. You would know, we're here with the President of the ANC, the President of the Republic, who was there in 1985 at Karasfontein when this federation was launched. We're a federation that has resilience. We're the biggest federation in the African continent, but not just by numbers, but by what we do. You would know the gains that we have made since the birth of this federation. The national minimum wage, maternity, paternity leave, the two-pot pension system that would have been able to give relief to workers. But also we have been able to even take domestic workers who have always been at the peripheral of the economy, and farm workers who are now part of the Corridor Act, which we think this is a big plus. But also we have been able as this federation to ensure that over 6 million workers have been now plugged into the national minimum wage, including farm workers and domestic workers. We think these are huge, but also what we must not remember, because some of these gains are not gains that everyone speaks about, the issue of the social relief distress grant. It was the alliance during COVID when the economy was locked down, when people did not know what is it that we need to do. And when we met as the alliance leadership, we said there are those that are not employed. And Cosatu said we've been calling for a basic income grant, and we convinced the ANC in government that a social relief distress grant is going to be a way to go. Even when the economy was opening up, government wanted to pull it off. We said, you can't. Let us use this as the basis of the basic income grant. There are many other victories that we are going to to Dobsonville on the 6th of December to really reflect on. Of course, the economy is not doing well. We get that, and this is why we're saying the unity of workers in South Africa beyond Cosatu, without defining ourselves by any logo, is sacrosanct and is important. We're dealing with trade issues that we strongly feel that, for an example, in the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, it's going to be important that workers' voices are part of every trade agreement that we are making. We're celebrating our president for leading this country to a successful G20. And we're saying we want to see results of the things that we came out from the L20, which have found expression in the G20 final commitment, that would find expression in the lives of workers and the working class. But of course, we are here today to fundraise. Thank you to our sponsors, President. Last year, we launched this. This is the second annual. It will be happening every year, the golf charity. We are fundraising money for Cosatu because, remember, if you know the case of domestic workers that were held by the dogs of the employer, we had to come in and help those domestic workers to file a case in court. It's not what we budgeted for, but it is the intervention that is necessary. You had the seamen at the sea harvest who perished at sea. We had to come in as a Cosatu. Those workers were not organized, but you need funding, you need money to deal with the employer. That is why we are fundraising through golf, but also importantly, we're giving back to community. We're giving back to where workers are coming from. Last year, early this year, from what we have fundraised, we were able to give back to 460 school kids, shoes and sanitary pads and dignity packs. This year, we're looking forward in at least tripling that number, more than 1,000 kids, but want to go now to the rural areas and the farm areas to ensure that no girl child misses school because of their biological makeup of them when they go through their periods. But also, no boy child is also left out because there are kilometers that they must travel and they are on their feet. You see climate change, and this is why Cosatu says our struggles are linked to community struggles. That is why we are on the course today.
Are you voting ANC or SACP next year?
Cosatu has taken a decision in the last Congress to vote for the African National Congress and to campaign for the ANC. We're coming from the Central Committee of Cosatu, where we said that decision that we took is not a decision that will change anytime unless we go to Congress. But also what we have said is the unity of workers, the unity of Cosatu is sacrosanct and it is important. We are not a political organization. We are a trade union. Our members are coming from all different political parties. The unity of workers is going to be important if we are going to make an impact into the economy of this country. And so that is why we called for the alliance to find each other, the political parties that are contesting election, on the modalities of doing so. But we said in the Central Committee, we don't want any time frames. We are not going to be rushed. Cosatu will take its time. We are going to our National Congress, September 2026. That's when the discussions will take place. For now, the decision to support the ANC has not changed.
Mr. President, you are former General Secretary of the NUM, one of the founders of Cosatu. Just the essence of your looking back of the 30 years of the Federation.
Well, this is a great year of celebration for Cosatu, celebrating 40 years of existence. That is a huge milestone, that an organization that was formed by workers themselves has continued to exist, but not only exist, to have such a huge impact on the body politic of our country, on the socio-economic issues of our country, and indeed have a huge impact that has affected the lives of ordinary people and workers. And Cosatu's role has gone beyond just looking after their members. It has gone into improving the lives of ordinary South Africans. And that is why Cosatu is such an important federation. Quite often, labor federations have a very, very narrow mandate of looking after their own members. But when Cosatu has taken up issues that have had an impact on the general public, on ordinary people, and not only workers, it means that its mandate is much broader, it's much more progressive, and much more impactful. And that in many ways is why we should celebrate the existence of an institution like Cosatu. Of course, we celebrate the existence of labor unions and federations, but Cosatu has had a much deeper impact on the issues that President of Cosatu counted. For instance, I worked very closely with Cosatu on the national minimum wage, and they were not campaigning for their members because their members in the main are already earning way above the minimum wage. They were campaigning more for other ordinary workers, workers in the farms, workers in the domestic sector who were earning far less. And they achieved a monumental victory. Today, more than 6 million workers are earning what we can call an increasing decent wage. It is not yet there, but over the years it will get there, because we've now got a baseline of wages that keep on improving. And it's important that the earnings of workers should continue to improve so that their own lives and the lives of a society must get better and better all the time. So it's a great celebration, and I'm delighted that the federation that we formed 40 years ago, 1985, is still there and is still strong, and it still has a very, very good leadership going forward. We're also celebrating 43 years of the National Union of Mine Workers, a union that I played a very small role in getting formed. They're celebrating today 43 years of existence, and that too is a monumental achievement, that mine workers who were really relegated to the backwater of working class people have now formed their own union. At one time it became the biggest union in the country. It was the fastest union growing in the country, and because of retrenchments and the shrinking of the mining industry, they've now come down to a slightly medium union, but it's still there, it's still strong, and it still defends the rights of workers in the various mines where it exists. So it's a great achievement.
Mr. President, you're the SADC you're the president, the chairperson of SADC. There are a number of challenges in the SADC region, and of course, again, you can even elaborate on your shun by the United States President that the South African Sherpas won't be allowed to attend the G20 preparations. Your take on that?
Well, we are, as South Africa, the interim chairperson of SADC. We've been given this responsibility after Madagascar asked to be relieved of that role because of the challenges that they had, challenges that SADC is dealing with, to restore democracy in Madagascar after their president stepped down and left the country. We also have challenges in other countries in the region, challenges which SADC is dealing with. It's fully seized with those issues, and the SADC region has been a relatively peaceful area, save for what's happening in the DRC and what's been happening in the northern part of Mozambique. But SADC itself has been involved, has been trying to find solutions, and we will continue to find solutions because we engage. We ensure that the institution of SADC does get to impose its own values, its own traditions in the solution of problems. The United States has said that South Africa will not be invited. We have not seen that in writing yet. We've just heard the media publications. We are yet to receive it in writing, and we will deal with that when it comes. We are, as South Africa, a fully fledged member of the G20, and we have held a very successful G20, and this is not only being said by us, it is said by many, many other people around the world, and saying that South Africa's presidency of the G20 was a very successful G20 process, and the declaration that was adopted is also a forward-looking declaration which will help to lead to many changes around the issues that we identified. So as South Africa, we can know for ourselves as a country that we held a successful G20. What happens going forward are matters that we will deal with.
Does it give you sleepless nights, Mr. President, that the conduct of the US President?
No, I don't have sleepless nights. And all we want really as South Africa is to be treated as an equal sovereign country, a country that respects other countries, a country that fosters the success and prosperity of other countries. That's who we are. We wish no country ill in the world, and in fact, as a country, we don't have enemies. we just have friends. And we want to advance the friendship relationships with all countries in the world. And that is our stance. And we will never be derogatory against any country, any leader in the world. We will always treat every country with due regard and with respect and with great consideration. That's who we are, and that is very much a part of our foreign policy.
The NGC is starting on Monday, Mr. President?
Yes, the NGC is starting. I hope you will be there.
Will you be mobilizing any countries to boycott the G20 in Miami?
No, we don't need to mobilize anyone. We're not wired that way as South Africa. Every country must take its own decisions, and we are who we are, and we don't really peddle our role in any shape or form. People or countries respect us for what we are, and they applauded our role in the G20 for the manner in which we ran and managed the G20. So as South Africa, we leave every country to make up its own mind with regard to all that is happening.
Just your last comment on Tanzania. What's happening in Tanzania? Sorry to take your time, Mr. President.
Well, I've appointed former Minister of International Relations, Naledi Pandor, as my envoy. She will be going there to go and find out exactly what the challenges are, and she will come back with a report, and it is upon that we will see what interventions we make. So let's wait and see exactly how that unfolds.